Hey guys, welcome to this video. Thanks for tuning in and sharing in this now moment with myself and with one another. I just wanted to roll right into an energy update. I've been a little off social media. I was doing something almost every day, and I haven't been as much. I did a video the other day. I haven't posted it yet, and I wanted to kind of share why, and I kind of wanted to share a little bit about my own journey that I've been feeling lately. For anybody who's interested in listening and sharing in this frequency. So the first thing I'm doing right now as I go into this space is I'm just setting my intention that this be for the highest levels of love light, and just to share anything that I have found helpful in my own journey, right? And that's what I do every time I give an energy update. Going into my heart and expanding that frequency out is so important. It's been a lot for a lot of us. I found myself in the last few weeks kind of going back and forth between wanting to be social and wanting to share and doing what I've been wanting to do for a while, which is I call it double bubbles. And I'll reach out and connect with one of my sisters or brothers, and we'll do a video, mostly my sisters right now. I'll do a video, and then all of a sudden I retreat for a little bit. So I never quite have gotten to the point where I'm doing these interactions like I was maybe a year ago. And I still want to do that. That's still one of my goals. Why am I sharing that? I am really recognizing within me how important it is to stay present with what we're feeling called to do in that now moment. And that now moment will and can and will change moment to moment. So sometimes I'll have this big inspiration where I feel like I really want to connect with my sisters, really want to connect and do a video and talk about this, that, or the other thing. And then an hour goes by and I have other things that come up and I go, no, it's not the right energy now. So it is important sometimes to work within that energy and within that framework as it comes up. And that can be challenging in time. Right? And this is something I think is going to come up a lot. My good friend, Jess from Yothera, and Candace and I had been talking about this a little bit. And she sent me a really great video, guys. If you haven't watched Sandra Walter, I highly recommend it. She's just a great teacher, way shower. But what I noticed is, from my perspective, everything is shifting so quickly that it's sometimes difficult to really stay in flow, because we start to go, well, what is that flow? I was in this flow a minute ago, now I'm on this flow. And we can feel very scattered and all over the place because we're interacting with each other, we're interacting with time, we're interacting with our environments within time in a completely different way than we have in the past. And as I always say, that could be a completely different video. We could go into that. But I think I haven't watched the whole video from her most recent one, where I think she talks about time. And I'm planning on watching that hopefully this week. So our relationship with ourselves has changed as well. So for me, I find myself processing so much about things I thought I'd already processed, but I'm doing it from a completely different perspective, that it's difficult for me sometimes in some circumstances to communicate that. And that's why sometimes I'm just guided to go into just wordplay, because sometimes there are no words for what I'm processing. Until I process it, go through it, and I can come back and look at it from another perspective. In addition to that, for me, my guidance team is always telling me, work on yourself first, go into your heart, and do what brings you joy. From that is where the service comes through, if we want to call it that. Not only service for ourselves, that's where it begins, that can then radiate out, radiation, right, as sons and daughters. I could go into flow with this. This then radiates out in an energetic ripple effect as within, so without. So if we're not finding our home base and we're not really allowing ourselves to find any moments of self-gratitude, self-joy, then it's difficult for us to feel into that ability to be able to be of service to the earth, to one another, for one another, as one, right? Reflecting off of another, from another perspective. So for me, it's been very interesting with these changes of finding that balance, right? Finding that interconnectivity and then branching out from there. So I really had to follow the flow. And the flow for me is the word flow. That keeps me in flow. That keeps me from getting too heavy into the process, if that makes sense. Sometimes we can go into the process and actually get pulled down. Allow ourselves to be pulled in and deepen into the process. And then we have to come out of it, process it some more, and then go back in again. Sometimes if we're in flow, the process just goes by and we see it and we go, oh, that's interesting. I am seeing myself react to this particular person and I'm feeling that I might be triggered, but I'm not getting sucked into it and then having to dissect and analyze and then digest and then go back in again. For me, that was a much more, that's how I did it a year ago, more often, right? I would really go in and eat the shadow and chomp on it a little bit and then come back to it a little bit later, right? Now I'm just like, I see it. What's that Geico commercial? We see it. Anyways, so it's even as aware as I feel that I am sometimes, I'm becoming more aware of what that looks like. And it looks different than the awareness that I had around it 6 months ago. Does that make sense? Because we're all seeing things from a different perspective. And that is changing literally this fast. So what happens is we may feel like, for example, I might want to do a video with a sister or brother. I might feel really called to work with someone. And then 2 hours later, I'm not. Not because I'm not called to work with them. I'm just not called to work with them in that moment because something just happened that requires my attention more than it did 2 hours ago. And so how aware and how present can we be with that flow time, that time flow, that signature frequency in that now moment? Now, our home base is to stabilize those frequencies as much as possible and find that coherence in the heart space, connecting everything inner to outer. But in some cases, we might feel like we were on a particular trajectory and we're used to staying focused on that trajectory. And then we get pulled off to kind of participate in something else. That doesn't mean that we're not on the same trajectory. It might just mean that we're being called to process something from a different perspective. We're being called to slow down and look at things from this angle that we might need to take with us when it is the right time to connect with that other person. Does that make sense? It's difficult to put into words. And that's another reason why I've just been kind of staying in flow. Because for me, it's like I'm processing so much so quickly that it's like as soon as I put it into words, it's sometimes just gone. And so as those of us that want to be able to share and express our experiences, this can be challenging at times. So for those of you healers and light workers that do this or do sessions, I've actually slowed down on my sessions a lot, other than beautiful beings I've already worked with and friends of friends, because I was really called to slow down and go within and work within a particular framework that allowed me to stabilize my frequencies in such a way that I could truly, and I would almost say feel comfortable, but it's not even that, because I feel that it's constantly getting out of my comfort zone. So one might say, well, Carrie, you're in your comfort zone if you're working with people that you know, and that would be true. But I'm working with people that I know that are not the same as they were a week ago or a week before that. And I know what they were like before, and now I'm working with somebody different. And this makes me recognize the differences in my own journey as a reflection back to me as how they were, how I was. And we talk about, wow, do you remember a year ago when we talked about this, that, or the other? And then they reflect back, and then we share based on our own interpretations. I mean, I could go on and on. You guys, this is multidimensionality. It is wonky. It's difficult to put into words. It's difficult to explain sometimes. So really being called to play with time in a different way, which is challenging when we have a schedule. So for example, I still see clients, again, that I've worked with for years, teaching, right? Whatever. It might be energy work. It might be intuitive readings. It might be yoga. It might be meditation. It might be breath work. It might be Pilates. All of these things I'm still doing, but I'm just staying within a certain framework that is, and I'm just finding myself over and over again trusting. So some days I'm recognizing, all right, we've got a huge influx of energies coming in. And it's interesting because all of a sudden my appointments will start to shift accordingly. And then I recognize, okay, I'm not going to be in resistance to this. I'm going to see where this is going. So for example, I was working with someone doing Pilates, and I really did not feel in alignment for doing that day because I felt like I really needed to hone in on the energy work more, which I do every day anyways, right? I have a set schedule. I'm sharing this because I know other people have schedules too. And it's difficult in this timeline of multiple timelines of there being no time. There's no lines. It's all blurred. To have a normal functioning, especially when you're aware that that's what's going on. It's like, it's wonky. And so this particular individual wanted to just do energy work. No Pilates. And I was like, this is how this is working. And that's been happening more and more and more for me. That's just how it works. Or I'll want more time in my schedule, so somebody had to cancel. And I'm able to then take the time and do this video, for example. On and on and on. You guys, it works differently than what we're used to doing. And it's hard at times because we don't realize we're in resistance because we're trying to play according to the old game, according to the old set of rules. And the rules are, there are no rules, except for the rules that we are creating as masterful creators of this reality. I'm just in flow with that. So of course there's certain rules and there's certain time dynamics and there's still mathematical geometries that are associated with all of this. But that is constantly in fluctuation and changing. Therefore, the rules are constantly in fluctuation and changing from a quantum example or experience. So here we are. We're learning how to navigate these new frequencies. And it's not necessarily going to get any easier as long as we're in resistance. If we're not acknowledging that we're in resistance, like I realized I was in resistance and I was trying to get my schedule set up around certain things that I would have used to have scheduled around. Now I'm starting to set my intention to allow the frequencies to bring the schedule to me. I'm attracting it to me. We could call it the law of attraction, although it's not exactly like we've necessarily been taught how that works, but that's a whole other video. So I'm setting my intention to work with this frequency. I'm setting my intention to work with what's coming up in every now moment. And because of that, more and more opportunities for me to work with this in that way is showing up for me. more and more opportunities for me to combine the physical, such as yoga, or not that any type of physical activity is just physical. We're being called to really hone in our physical vessels right now. So for me, I was ready to just move away from physical, any type of physical training completely, because I just wanted to do the energy work. But the more I keep the two working together, the more I learn about how people that are aware and people that are unaware are both experiencing similar things in their bodies, which then allows me to share that with others when I'm in session or just doing a video, if that makes sense. So for example, I might be in resistance to teaching yoga, even though yoga is not just physical. Yoga is yoking together the mind, the body, and the breath, right? It's not just the physical. But sometimes we get in this habit of thinking that, okay, I just want to do energy work. I just want to do tarot card readings. I just want to work with crystals. But what I'm recognizing is that it's everything. So whatever I'm dipping my fingers into with the energies, I'm actually then able to weave it together and thread it in a way to share with other people. So somebody might come in and say, I have got the worst headache. Well, I know that we're having major solar planetary activations going on. This gives me the opportunity to say that. And then the person says, what are you talking about? And I can share what it is that I know or I've come to understand, and then say, would you like me to send you something about it? I'll send them an article to read. They may never read it, but what I have done is then planted the seeds. Number one, to make them aware that physical is not just physical. Number two, I can then say, why don't we do half yoga and half energy work? And by the way, there is this old paradigm that says you can't mix them. And I'm here to share from my perspective, this is just my perspective, that that's an old paradigm. That would be an old rule that has shifted, that has changed based on the new frequencies and energies and the merge that we have of all of these realities, aka timelines, aka sounds, vibration, frequencies, bandwidths, energetic consistencies, geometries, mathematical frequencies and sounds that are all blending, merging together in this co-creating pattern of habitualization in the habits, on our habitat, within our habitats. I could go on and on. So not being so rigid, and that was me, I was being in resistance to this, going, why would I be in resistance to this? I enjoy body movements. I enjoy how the body functions. It's fascinating. So why would I completely move away from that if it brings me joy? So I've now come back into it from a completely different perspective, and I'm enjoying it. Whereas before I was like, I'm over it. Because I was over teaching it in that way. And so that's shifted for me dramatically. And that's opened up all of these opportunities for me to do other things than just that one form. So I'm sharing this because many of us are opening up to these other layers, these other levels, wherever we are, whatever we're doing, it's meeting us where we are. And it's us meeting the energy where we are. And that then allows us to navigate these new roads of possibilities and see things from a different perspective. So I see things now and I'm able to feel into the mode of transportation. So this is taking me from one level into another level without me forcing it, saying this is the only way that I want to be. It may be the only way I think I want to be. It may be the only way I think I want to play, but it just wasn't in full alignment with all of the expansive availability and opportunities that I had, if that makes sense. Lots of energies. So I'm not going to go too much longer because I am on a time schedule now, and many of us are. I'm really called to sometimes just start singing. I know, super random. Let's just change the subject. Sometimes I'm just called to belt out and sing, and sometimes I will. I'll be done with a particular conversation and I'll just go, ah, just to lighten things up. There's a lot of seriousness still going on. I've talked a lot, and I was going through it a week ago. Guys, it's cycles. And when I'm going through that, I don't do sessions, or I just play more. I do more yoga. I do more grounding outside. It's about finding that balance, but acknowledging that we're in it when we're in it. So I've been called to go back to the basics again. So what am I doing? I'm doing a heavy metal detox. Guys, there's certain things that some of us have been required by our choice to put inside of our bodies. I'm not going to go into all of the details. You know why? Because it doesn't bring me joy to talk about it. However, I do find joy in finding solutions, because everybody's in a different position. Everybody's in a different reality. Everybody's in a different version of what they feel their timeline looks like. And for me, there's been certain choices that I've made where I have to find myself coming back into balance and alignment. And others are like that too. And I had a conversation with someone the other day who had chosen to put something into their bodies, and they were really depressed about it. This beautiful light worker. And I just said, what's done is done. We can't go back and wish and get sad and depressed. We can, but that puts us into a certain frequency and vibration that essentially, we might feel that for a little while, but there comes a point when we have to ask ourselves, what can we do to take action in order to change this course, in order to rewrite the program that we've chosen to participate in. And looking at that from a place of neutrality, and not being in such a polarized view of right, wrong, bad, good, this is the end, this is the beginning. Like, there's just this need for more of us to soften and to thread and weave together, recognizing with compassion that some people have made choices based on what they had in front of them or what they felt they had in front of them. Whether they didn't really have to make that choice or whether they really did in order to feed their family is not up to us, from my perspective, to make that judgment on them. So I was just very supportive of this beautiful light worker and thought, I said, you're a beautiful human being. If you're feeling this way, all you're going to do is make yourself feel worse. So maybe you can try doing, I said, I'm doing a heavy metal detox. I like to do one once a year anyways. Why don't you give that a try? Do a heavy metal detox. I'm going to send her some meditations she can listen to set the intention to clear the frequencies, to clear her beliefs, and to clear that stuff, whatever we want to label it as, out of her system. To connect in with our DNA, to connect in with our cells, and to start recognizing that we have this ability to communicate with our bodies and not beat ourselves up over choices that we've made and not beat each other up over choices that we've made. And I just said that, and I thought she was going to cry. I've actually said that to a couple people. I did have one person cry. And it's because I gave them, not that I need to give anybody permission. That's not up to me to give her permission to let go and relax. But she felt like it was giving her permission. I wasn't, but just the energy around holding that place and space of compassion gave her the ability to just relax and go, thank you. I feel so much better. That right there, not going into my beliefs or disbeliefs or stories, just right there, let her raise her frequency and vibration and work towards self-healing, work towards balancing, work towards, or not even work, instant vibrational frequency upgrade. And that's what I feel guided to do. That's where I'm feeling guided to go. And that may not be everybody else's decision, choice, journey. That's just mine. So I wanted to share that because it was a really beautiful experience. I'm going to end on that note. So you guys, so much more to share and so much more we're processing. And I'm so grateful for this platform to be able to share my experience with you guys. And obviously we all take what resonates with us, and what doesn't, we can just leave behind. We don't have to take it with us. We don't have to take on everybody else's views, positions, judgments, opinions, experiences on as our own, right? And we have that choice. So I just wanted to share that as well. So I'm going to end on that note, and just, that was my little energy update. I've got much more to share, and hopefully I'll be doing some more playful double bubbles here very soon. In love and light, you guys. Lots more big energies coming in. It's not over. It ain't over till it's over. I keep hearing over the rainbow, like the pot of gold is at the end, but the rainbow's here all the time, and I could go into flow, so maybe I'll do that next. In love and light, guys. Namaste.